What God has for you is for you. Now I know that y'all have heard this saying a whole lot, but it still remains just as true as it was the first time you heard it. And I'm gonna say it again. What God has for you is for you. Hell cannot forfeit your blessing. The only way that your blessing will be prolonged or maybe even forfeited is if, you make that choice to step outside of God's will and you make the choice to, to just live the way that you want to live and just not make the right decisions constantly. And even then, like God will have mercy and direct you and still give you chance after chance after chance to get it right, because he's such a patient and loving God. You know what I'm saying? So, no other being, no other thing, no other situation holds that power but you. As long as you're walking in line with God and just seeking his face, like, I don't care what comes up against you. I don't care what you up against, like what God has for you is for you. And hell cannot forfeit that blessing. It is impossible. Like you may encounter situations where it looks like, things are coming against you that's going to stop your blessings. But hey, let me tell y'all something, like that's just a test. If you read the story of Joseph, Joseph went through a lot of unfair things. He had he had his brothers didn't like him. They threw him in the pit. They sold him to the Israelites. And the Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites sold him to Potiphar. And each time, this happened. Like each event that happened to Joseph, if you read the in Genesis where it was talking about his situation, each time something unfair happened to him, it always said, but God was with him. Whenever they sold him to Potiphar, God was with Joseph, and then like he gave him favor in the eyes of Potiphar, and Potiphar, put him in charge of his whole household. But then a situation happened where Potiphar's wife had like the googly eyes for Joseph, and tried to sleep with him, and then Joseph, turned her away. She got mad, and when her husband Potiphar came back, she lied on Joseph and said that Joseph tried to sleep with her or rape her or whatever the case may be, and then so Potiphar got mad. Um, he didn't realize his wife was lying, and he threw Joseph in jail, in prison. So like you may be thinking, like as I was reading this story, I'm thinking to myself, man, like that is so unfair. Like Joseph was just trying to do, like he was a righteous man. He was trying to do what was right. He didn't do anything wrong, and his wife, Potiphar's wife, lies on him, and get this man threw in prison, you know. But and I can only imagine like how Joseph, felt during that time. But even when he was thrown in prison, even though it was unfair, even though it was not right, God still was with him, and God gave him favor, with Pharaoh. And he ended up interpreting some dreams for Pharaoh that nobody else could, and Pharaoh ended up, putting him second in command of all of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? So like you see like how each one of those events, from the time that his brothers threw him in a pit to the time he got sold to the Ishmaelites, to the time when they sold him to Potiphar, and the issue what happened with Potiphar's wife, to when he got thrown in prison. Like all of those events were leading on up to him being in second in command throughout the whole entire land of Egypt. And his brothers who betrayed him, ended up needing him in the end. Joseph was a very wealthy man, but all of those events at the time, see, like we may be going through some things that may be unfair. Like they may seem unfair, they may be unfair. You didn't do anything wrong for it to happen, but just realize that don't take that unfair situation that happened to you and take it to heart like this is your end all be all. Because just like how God was with Joseph in each one of those unfair events, it was just a step. It was just a step, and it was leading him to something greater. So, don't allow your current situation, whatever you may be going through, that something may be rising up against you. Like, don't allow that to make you think that your blessing is going to be forfeited. God is going to use that to propel you. You just keep the faith and keep the fight. Hell cannot stop what God has ordained. It is impossible for that to happen. You just stay in his will and stay in his way, and watch how God take all these steps, all these unfair things, and once the puzzle is complete, you will see that it's a masterpiece of your blessing. Hey, this Kingdom Talk. Y'all have a blessed day.